It's all right. I've pressed it. I found it. We're recording now, I hope. Yeah. Okay. So, so there's just some little introductions on the polling. So we've got a little idea of who everyone is. And yeah, just in the chat now, have a think about where your favourite swim is and see if you can come up with 1 or 2 words about why it's special to you. I think the chat's loading a little bit slow for me. So if one of our other hosts can see it.
Yeah, I can do that. So
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so Lucy says since she started wild swimming, she only swims outside now. Doesn't think she can face swimming inside. How does everyone else feel? Jess is, I'm with you, Lucy, says Mal. I'm looking forward to swimming inside, but outside's definitely better. Leona likes the old bathing place in Stratford. It's a nice journey into town. And also, Leona had her first winter swim last week at the old bathing place.
Whey!
Zoe said, shock horror, Dostal Quarry, because the water is so beautiful and the magnesium helps my old limbs. Louise agrees with Lucy. Liz, Cove in Devon, Clearwater, remote, rocky and unspoilt. That sounds amazing. Favourite swim spot, Nanjizzle in Cornwall. Mal, I've been to Nanjizzle in every single way it could possibly be, if that makes sense. So I went in the winter when it was flat as a pancake and the tide was in and it was gorgeous. And then when I went back to take Claire, it was stormy and you couldn't see the actual pool. There was massive waves and there was some crazy Australian guy surfing through it, which was just nuts. And then I went another time and the tide was out and there wasn't really anything there. It was crazy.
Did you have to clamber over all those rocks?
Yeah, and I got picked up by a wave and chucked back really far. So I thought I best not clamber anymore. It's a bit dangerous. Pab's favourite spot, Stony Cove. Oh, but now Saxon Mill.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So lots of different places that people like swimming for lots of different reasons.
Can I just stop just for a second? Because I think this is really important after Women's Day last week and what we talked about body positivity and all of that. That we've got a comment about body image has prevented me from swimming. And then visiting Turkey made me crave the blue and I started swimming in the apartment pool. And we had this conversation, didn't we, about how when we're swimming outside, we don't always care as much and there's not necessarily a run to the pool from the changing room, is there, covering yourself up, because we're all just different shapes and sizes, aren't we, when we're swimming in the river, and we just get in and no one cares because we all share that joy, you know. But it's still hard, isn't it? It's a journey you have to take on yourself to feel comfortable and confident in your skin. Definitely.
Yeah, and the thing about wild swimming is it's much less of a competition, so it's much less about your physical performance. So your body shape and size is perhaps less relevant than just enjoying your swim. So thank you very much for all your contributions to that. We're going to talk a little bit now about the concept of the blue mind. So I'm going to get Mel to introduce it.
Oh God, are you?
Yeah.
Okay. Good job. I've made a few notes, isn't it? Okay. Can I do a bit about red mind here and the different mindsets rather than just go straight into blue? Or do you want me to leave that till later on?
Well, we've got the red mind a little bit later on.
Okay. All right. Okay. So basically there are 3 different kinds of minds. I'll just say as much as that. So there's red, blue and grey, and we need to get ourselves in a balance between 2 and avoid the grey. So the blue mind is really all about how the kind of feelings that we get from being in and around water. So not necessarily always in the water, but also if we are near water and surrounding it. And I certainly know that. I've moved in with my mum at the moment. She lives in Welford upon Avon, right on the water. And both my mum and I feel so much calmer because of being around the water and just even walking around it. There was another time when Emma and I couldn't swim and ended up just sitting by the water, and it was actually equally as lovely as being in it. And then I guess the final little example for me was when I was in Berlin, and we sat down by the river on an old settee with a glass of wine. And I just sat there for the whole day, feeling quite emotional and feeling like actually the river was a state of being by being so close to the river. And the river was kind of saying to me, just let it go and, you know, let your kind of feelings flow into it. But the book that Penny is talking about that mentioned earlier is called Blue Mind, and it's by Walter J. Nichols. Are you going to play a video about this now, Penny?
I'm going to play a video now, yeah.
So Blue Mind is a state of mind, and we'll go a little bit more into the science of it later on, but it's basically about the feelings that you get and the benefits of being around water.
So hopefully this is going to play, that hopefully I've got enough bandwidth and whatever for this to work. So here we go. It's only 2 minutes long. Pipe up if it's not working.
This idea we call blue mind refers to the mildly meditative state, the more connected state to yourself and to your surroundings that you feel when you're near, in, on, or underwater. Visually, auditorily, the water simplifies our environment. When we give up the gravity to the water, all of a sudden we're floating, we're drifting, we're relaxing. Our brains don't have to do as much work. Our brains don't shut off, but they shift to what scientists call the default mode network. We become more insightful, more creative, more innovative, more self-referential, more relaxed.
Being on the ocean, it's centering, it's calming, it's healing. When I was lying in a hospital bed, all I wanted to do was be outside, and I loved just being in the sun, and I wanted to go to the beach so bad. I really feel rejuvenated, and I think it helps me. I love being outdoors.
The science is showing that being outside in nature and moving and exercising in nature stimulates us. Cortisol, cytokines, chemicals in our bodies that impede healing are diminished. Their levels drop. The feeling of awe and wonder that we get around the water, even from the beach, from the edge, the sound of it, the sunset over the water, is the medicine. We're all under stress, some more than others. People struggling with disease and illness and disorders are dealing with it much more, and therefore need that extra kind of medicine that the ocean offers.
I love being in the water, swimming when it's cool, especially when it's cool, and it's so invigorating. It just makes you feel alive and free.
I feel about 100% better after I'm on the water for an extended amount of time. It really does change my body, and I know it changes a lot of other people's bodies. It's just like a reset. I come back and I feel more focused. I feel like you have time to think things through that you might not normally, during the day-to-day grind.
I know that I feel much better when I'm in the water and when I get out of it than when I'm just looking at it and wishing I was. Being here amongst the ocean and the healing process is really helpful, I think, to each and every one.
So I hope that you found that a little bit interesting. I personally find it just really soothing and really calming, and I mean, I love listening to Jay Nichols. And I'm going to get Mel to do this bit as well. So some of you will have seen on the email with the bookings that he sent out Mel's famous favourite quote from the book, and asked people to send in a picture and their thoughts about what that quote provoked in them. And 2 or 3 people did. And, it's just a nice way to talk a little bit more about why swimming is so special, and you know how it helps us and what it does for us. So I'm going to hand over to Mel and get her to read out the quote.
Oh, sorry. Water fills the light, the sound, the air, and my mind.
And so, yeah, go on. These are some of the responses. Go on, you read them out, Mel.
Okay, so look at how beautiful that is. And Claire says her photos of Bamber Beach last March before the first lockdown and again in August. I felt much calmer and more peaceful being near the sea, even though I wasn't confident to swim in it.
And you know, when Claire sent me those photos, it kind of lifted my spirits just seeing a picture of the blue sky and the beach.
So Leona said, it took a while to find my peace with the ocean after always being taught from a young age about the dangers of swimming alone, rip currents and sea life. A dear friend taught me to love the ocean when I lived on its doorstep, and I have fond memories of feeling the weight of the water surrounding my body. The way you have to let go and surrender control to the waves is a scary prospect from the water's edge. Can't see what it says below that, Penny.
Yeah, I don't know how to make that. I don't know how to make that show, sorry. It's frustrating. No.
Oh, there it was. It was there.
Go on, yeah, go on, read the last line.
The water's edge, but so invigorating when you are immersed in it, I think it might have said. Look at that arm. That's a nice arm, isn't it, Penny?
It is beautiful. And
we
what I
nice arm.
I liked is these big boats in the background that kind of give it a little bit of perspective.
Lovely. And Sue said, this was at the end of my first ever open water swim, not in the ocean. It was at the big swim in Nottingham. As a confirmed pool swimmer, I only did it because it was free, but because I was marshalling at an event for OSB, I had a bit of a panic attack when I first put my head in the water and found I couldn't see anything. My sister, pictured in the photo with me, swam all of the way with me. Because of her support, I loved it. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and again, what I love about it is the support and the friendship and the camaraderie and all of those things that I think you get a lot more with wild swimming than you do necessarily with pool swimming. And Leona said to us earlier in the week that the thing with wild swimming is there's always a story that comes with it. So I thought that was really lovely. When you go to the swimming pool, there isn't any excitement or story. It's just swimming up and down. So here are just a few more illustrations and pictures that I chose. And yeah, Mel, would you like to just talk a little bit more about why you think swimming is so special?
Well, I think swimming is really, it's a balm for the soul, isn't it? And we all know that it releases those endorphins in us that makes us feel really good. And I think the thing for me as well is that it arouses all those memories of holidays as a kid, you know, the first ripples of summer and the wild, frothy ocean, jumping waves, you know, like that whole kind of thing about family vibe, you know, being in the sea together and all of that sort of thing. But also, I think as you start to think about swimming and its purpose, you realize that you can get yourself into a really nice meditative state. And it has a really powerful effect on your mind and definitely on our mental health as well. And I know that there's often times where I just feel like I don't want to swim with everybody else. And I'm really grateful that people just let me float off and have my little moment where I just, you know, it's just that time for me where I can just let everything go out into the water and then come back and feel much better for that. So I think especially swimming outdoors is really special because it's that whole thing about our affinity with nature and being close to nature and just feeling, yeah, that you're doing something that is really different and that not everybody else does as well. Although, you know, wild swimming numbers are going up rapidly, so we're a bit more popular than we used to be, I guess. But yeah, it feels very special.
So thank you very much. So some of the things that Mel has mentioned, some of the concepts that Jay Nichols talks about around blue minds in the book are things about how it helps our connections to ourselves and our surroundings, and just seeing and hearing water can just help to switch our brains off and help to encourage some calmness and creativity and just insightful ideas into how we're feeling and how we're interacting with others. Oh, I don't know why I keep getting this poll. Sorry, I just switched that off. Okay. And yeah, definitely that being in, on or around water can be calming and relaxing and healing. And yeah, hopefully our book, just a little plug here, but hopefully the book is filled with pictures like this one of Emma and Rachel just looking happy and relaxed and just enjoying floating down the river.
And Rachel's got a little bump there because that was before she had her little girl Pippa.
So just going to talk a little bit about why water is so special. And I think sometimes we can forget that and lose sight of it and just take it for granted. So that when I read this section of the book and watched some of the videos, this really just kind of spoke to me and taught me to appreciate water a little bit more. So don't forget that 70% of the Earth's surface is filled with water. And did you know that only 95% of it has been, 95% of it is still to be explored? And I don't know if you can see me holding up a little blue marble. So when you're a million miles away from Earth, looking down at it, it looks like a little blue marble. And so one of the things that sometimes people do is, you know, they have a blue marble as a symbol, you know, to ground them and, you know, remind them of being by water. So 80% of the world's population lives within 60 miles of water, and 500 million people owe their livelihoods to it, you know, from fishing, sailing, running ferry companies, teaching swimming, you know, all those sorts of things. We need water for survival, and we need 80 to 100 gallons every day just for basic survival. And safe drinking water is a human right, yet how many people in the world don't actually have access to it? And just again, a few little interesting facts. You know, the human body is made up of 60% water, and our brain is 80% water. So it's going to be important to us. And so just some little interesting snippets of science and why water is so special to us. So the first thing is why we're drawn to water. And this guy, Dennis Dutton, did some research, and he thinks it's about our evolution. And what we consider to be beautiful is based on our original needs for survival. And what we needed survival were, you know, trees for shelter, grass for food, yeah, and water for food and, you know, for drinking. And so what we consider to be beautiful are often pictures that include all of those elements. So it isn't just about our personal preference for liking to look at pictures with water or liking to be near water. It is kind of like inbuilt in our human evolution that we're going to be drawn towards water, and we're going to think of places with water in to be more beautiful. And it's going to invoke different feelings for us. So this is really pertinent, and this is why Emma's drawings are so amazing, and this is why the book is so special. So another piece of research they did was about looking at pieces of artwork, and they gave people different pieces of artwork and asked them to rate the pictures for what sort of positive mood it gave them and the feelings of restorativeness, so feeling relaxed, feeling calm, feeling restored. And you know, any picture containing water got higher ratings, was described as being more beautiful. And even if it was a cityscape with buildings and roads and built up areas, if you added water to it, then it made people like it made people feel more calm than without the water. So that's why, look at all of these beautiful pictures here. So yeah, just a similar bit of research, where they showed people photos this time of the built environment and countryside and whether it had water or not in it. And this piece of research found that people had more positive emotions when they looked at photos that had water and green elements in it. But the most interesting thing was that if there was a built environment photo with water in it, then that was rated as good as a photo that was of green space but didn't have water in it. So if you live in a city, just going to a fountain, or going to, if you know Coventry, going to Swan Pool, or just going to a little duck pond can really help you to feel more restored than not going anywhere. Okay, so I'm hoping this little video might show. Let's see if I can figure this out.
You're doing great, Penny, by the way.
Okay, so hopefully this video again will show, but again, pipe up if it freezes. But this is just another little clip about from Jay Nichols about the mental health benefits of being near water. There's a little bit of intro because it was on the news.
To answer some big questions about the brain and bodies of water. Blue Mind explores how so many of us are drawn to the ocean or a scenic lake. We just like water. Ben Tracy talked to the author trying to show a scientific connection between water and our health and happiness.
Most of us know that feeling of calm we get when we're on, in, or just near the water.
And this is what you want if you're in the midst of a stressful week. You just want to hit that big blue reset button and get out here.
Jay Nichols is a marine biologist and conservationist who lives near the central coast of California. He spent much of his professional life trying to protect endangered sea turtles. Now he's exploring the scientific reasons for why humans have such a deep connection with the deep blue.
There are all these cognitive and emotional benefits that we derive every time we spend time by water.
Nichols has dubbed it our blue mind, the mildly meditative state our brains enter when exposed to water.
Did you worry initially that people were going to dismiss you as the guy from California? This is all touchy-feely about how we love water.
I was worried about that, and in fact, I think I was dismissed as that guy at first by some people. But once you get into it, you realize that it's chemistry, it's biology, it's physiology. It's deeply personal, but it's also strong science.
The science is still evolving, but Nichols' work is getting plenty of attention. He began hosting Blue Mind seminars that are attracting neurologists and psychologists from around the world. Using brain imaging, they have found that proximity to water floods the brain with feel-good hormones such as dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Levels of the stress hormone cortisol actually drop. Scientists have also discovered that the brain prefers the color blue above all others, and water increases our ability to focus.
When we look at this, it's not just that it's beautiful, we're having some sort of biological reaction to it.
Yeah, our response to water is deep. It's human. It's about life, and it's about survival.
In fact, our bodies consist of about 60% water, and our brains a whopping 75%.
So when you see water, when you hear water, it triggers a response in your brain that you're in the right place.
Now, from rafting to kayaking to surfing, water therapy is increasingly being used to treat a variety of ailments, including wounded veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
And so is your ultimate hope that we look at the ocean not simply as a beautiful place to visit or a food source, but that it's a public health issue?
Absolutely. I think connecting public health to healthy oceans is critical. It helps you relax. It just literally sucks the stress out of your body and out of your mind.
So the next time you gaze into that blue horizon, you'll know that feeling you get really is all in your head. For CBS This Morning, Ben Tracy, Davenport, California.
believe all of that.
I do too. You don't need a trophy wife if you get next to the water.
Oh, it's soothing.
Hey, just real quick, if you know the power of webinars to promote your program,
how do I get rid of it?
Your courses, your services, but you just are not figuring out how to do it effectively.
Okay. Are we still all there?
Yep.
Good.
Still all there. Lucy posed a good question about, I wonder if some people more than others are predisposed to the blue mind effect.
Good question. And I guess, yeah, perhaps some people are, yeah. So just picking up on a few of the comments that Jay made in the video. So he sort of said, did people just dismiss him as a hippie Californian person first? And perhaps they did. But the point is, a lot of the ideas are actually based on science. And they did lots of different types of brain scans. And in the book, he talks all about the science and the different types of brain scans, you know, that they did and how it worked. But just some interesting things that came up. So when people were looking at scenes of nature, they did these brain scans and they found that areas of the brain associated with empathy lit up more. And when people were looking at urban scenes, the amygdala lit up more. And the amygdala is the part of the brain that's associated with danger and stress. So just by looking at pictures of nature can just help you to feel better. There was another one where they discovered that looking at nature scenes activated a part of the brain called the basal ganglia, which is the same part of the brain which is known to be triggered when you're looking at happy faces or recalling happy memories. So this is why Emma's drawings are so amazing, because there's lots of people with happy faces and sometimes they're in water as well. More pictures of happy faces. So this piece of research I thought was just really interesting. So it was called the Mappiness Project by George McKieran and Susan Morato. I think it was actually Canadian, I can't quite remember. They had 22,000 people with 1 million responses, and they basically gave people a mobile phone app, and they'd be walking around on their day, you know, having their day, going to work, doing whatever, and they'd receive random signals from the app to their mobile phone all throughout the day, where they were asked to rate how happy they were. And then with the GPS tracker on their phone or through the app, the research tracked the locations of where people were when they rated how they felt, and then they would be able to connect the locations with their emotions and their feelings. And you're all probably saying, well, of course you feel happier outdoors, but this is research that demonstrates it. So people were happier when they were outdoors compared to being in an urban environment. But also, you know, a really interesting thing was you could be doing high energy activities like running or cycling, as well as low energy activities such as bird watching or painting outdoors. If you did those activities outdoors, you felt better than if you were doing them indoors. So regardless of the activity, doing it outdoors increases your happiness. And if you added water to that, then that was the highest increase in happiness scores. So just more information, more research demonstrating that being near water can really make you feel better. It isn't just a personal preference. It isn't just some hippie idea. There is science, you know, that really does make a difference. So we're just moving on now to talk a little bit about happiness and the blue mind. So just saying that people that are happy are usually more healthy, more productive, more creative. They have better relationships. They have more self-control, better able to cope with life challenges, so they're more resilient. Happy people are often more cooperative, so they support other people in their community. but also has massive health benefits, because the happier you are, you're more likely to have lower cortisol levels, decreased inflammation, so less chance of long-term conditions and long-term health conditions associated with stress. And also generally happier people live longer. So there's lots of reasons to try to work on feeling a little bit happier. And I really like these quotes from Nichols. He says that happiness flows to communities, families, and friends of friends. So it spreads outwards. And, that really resonated with me a little bit with the book, because reason why we're doing these workshops is to try to connect with people and to spread a little bit of the love and a little bit of the joy of swimming that we experience. We want other people to kind of be able to experience that as well. And one way of doing that is with sharing stories and pictures and photos and Emma's amazing drawings. So these are some other lovely quotes from Jay. So he says, the blue mind is not just about smiling when you're near water, it's about smiling everywhere. So when you get the benefits of being near water, it spreads outwards, and it infects your whole life. So, right, okay, so in the book, Jay quotes some other research about how you create happiness and what type of people are happy and what makes you happy, what helps you to feel happier. And the research shows they think that 50% of your happiness is just related to your genetics and what you've inherited. They think that 10% of our happiness is based on our circumstances, and that's things like where we live, if we're married, how much money we've got, what country we live in, whether we experience prejudice or not, whether we feel safe in our home, safe in our neighborhood, those types of things that perhaps are difficult to always change. So our circumstances make up 10% of our happiness. But 40% of our happiness is about the activities that we choose. And if we can choose activities that help, then that's going to, boost how good we feel. And so this is where swimming comes in, or being in, on, or near water. So the research shows that the type of things that can really help to make you feel happier are, this is some more research that they came up with. So it's whether the activity is new and novel or familiar. And so it's the idea that if you live near the beach and you go to the beach, the same stretch of beach every single day, and you walk the same stretch in the same way, in the same direction every single day, the effect that has on your well-being and your happiness isn't going to be the same level of joy that I see from just seeing a picture of being on the beach or just getting to the beach, because we don't get to see the sea and the beach very often here in Coventry. So, it's this idea. And if you do go to the beach or the same river or the same memorial park, I go to the memorial park several times a week. If you do go to the same place, how can you make it more novel or more new to boost your feelings of happiness? So it seems really ridiculous, but little things I do is that I run around the memorial park in a different way, or I cut a different lap of the memorial park so I see different bits of it from a different angle or a different perspective. Or I'll go out with the idea of trying to see something special when I go to the memorial park. And I'm a little bit odd. I like dogs and I don't have a dog. So I'll go to the memorial park and I'll run around to try and see what different types of dogs I can see. Just some little new twist to something that you do every day to try to boost your happiness. So whatever activity you choose, it needs to fit your values. And for example, Emma is a vegan and I'm vegetarian. And so fishing probably wouldn't be a very good activity for us, even though it's by water and it's outdoors. It probably wouldn't fit our values. So whatever you do, it does need to fit your values. It needs to be something that you can do quite regularly. So it would be no use for me and Emma and Mel to say right now we want to see the sea, because from Coventry we're quite far from the sea. So it probably, although we all take every opportunity we can get to the to see the sea, it's not a weekly activity that's not regular enough to help us. And then the activity that you do needs to have some level of intensity that can engage your focus and your attention a little bit. And you can create that level of intensity and that attention yourself by thinking about, you know, your attitude towards the activity. So if you do just walk up the beach in the same direction at the same time in the same way every single day, then it isn't going to engage you unless you actively focus on it. And the intensity of that experience isn't going to be as perhaps high, it's going to be dulled over time. So again, it's little things I do when I'm out running. It's really simple things. You know, here's a little crazy example. I ran a half marathon around a 1 mile loop a couple of weeks ago. It was a little crazy thing. We did 13 and a half laps around a business park. About halfway round, I was really struggling, and you can imagine I'd already done 6.5 laps of this business park. It started to get a bit boring. But a little mindful technique is to pick a colour and then notice all of the things of that colour as you're running around. It is really simple, but it increases your level of observation and your intensity of noticing the things around you, and it engages your attention a little bit. So it's just figuring out how can you do that with your activities and maybe your swimming to boost your, you know, levels of happiness and enjoyment that you get from the activity. And cue another amazing picture of me smiling in the river. And I've got another little video. So while I find the video now is about red mind and the difference between red mind and blue mind. So I've been talking a little bit about happiness, how to generate happiness, and the type of activities that might help. Do you want to just, Mel, tell us a little bit about the difference between red mind and blue mind?
Did you say me, Penny, because you broke up?
Yes, please. Yeah, Mel, can you talk about that?
Okay, so red mind, I think more of us have experienced that now since we've been in pandemic, you know, those kind of feelings of feeling really anxious, overconnected, overstimulated. Never have we been so busy, you know. Friends of mine and definitely work colleagues, you know, it's like, how many Zooms can you fit in a day? It's just gone pretty crazy. And there's never been so many distractions as there are now. You know, our phones pinging. If it's not pinging or we're not doing something, we've got feelings of FOMO. So feeling that we're missing out on something. We're literally drowning in tech and screens, text messages, emails, and Zooms. And the danger with this red mind state, so that's when you're just feeling really anxious and overstimulated by life and the world and everything that's happening within it. And the danger with red mind is that it can lead to grey mind. And I'm not talking 50 shades of grey here. What I mean is burnout, breakdown, disconnection, mild depression. And so we have to be careful to get the balance right between, well, yeah, move in between sort of red and blue, or blue and red. Best to go for blue, less red. And as we try to do this and practice more blue mind, we end up leaving more of the red behind. So the mental, visual and auditory stimuli that distracts us gets left behind. So all of those things, phones pinging, Zooms, all of that, get left behind. And blue mind is actually as much about what it takes away from us as what it gives us. So those constant distractions and being able to move them out of the way so that we can free our minds.
Okay, cool, thank you. So we've got another little video which is just a few minutes long, so I'm going to press play.
The best way to understand blue mind is to first understand red mind. We're anxious, we're stressed, and that takes its toll. It's the first year in a decade that anxiety and stress is on the rise. That's a lot of red mind that we're carrying. You're going to break down. You're going to fall apart. If you look at places where there is no water, or where the water has been so despoiled that people are afraid to get in it, literally tap water has become something to be afraid of.
Does our stockpile water for everything that we need, like bathing our baby, really?
There's obviously the health impact of that, but the emotional cost of an entire generation of kids associating bath time with danger is going to be doing some lasting damage. When we first met, you said I did not become the man I could have become because of the separation I had from water. Someone always put a barrier there because.
Is it playing okay for everyone?
Didn't like the color of your skin.
I could sit on my grandma's steps and
Shall I pause it?
Yeah, it's breaking up quite a lot for me.
So, obviously everyone's online right now, so the video won't play. It is just a little bit about what Mel said, but what I'll do is, I mean, we're recording this, but I'll make sure you get the video, you know, in an email afterwards if you want to watch it. It is only sort of 4 minutes long again, and it, you know, it is worth having a little watch of. So I will send that. Let's go back to the slideshow. So just interestingly, we were talking about red mind, you know, and Mel talked about the stress response and feeling anxiety and all those things. So I was trying to find pictures to illustrate the idea of red mind. And the only picture I could find in, you know, all of Dips and Chips, because all of Emma's pictures are obviously usually happy and smiley, was one of me walking over a suspension bridge at Salak suspension bridge, and yeah, I'm a little bit scared of heights, so that's me feeling a little bit anxious and swearing a lot. So, oh, sorry, wrong button. So blue mind is not just about smiling when you're near water, it's about smiling everywhere. The ocean produces awe and a profound, immersive and invigorating peace. Water feels the light, the sound, the air, and my mind. So just some inspiring little quotes before we go into some little breakout rooms. So we're going to put you into some little groups on Zoom, and what we want you to think about in your groups is how you can get more blue mind in your life. What sort of strategies have you got when you can't swim? Like at the moment, lots of people won't have been able to go swimming, but maybe if you've had an operation and you're not allowed to get in the water, or you've broken your leg, something like that. So what can you do when you can't swim? And then see if you can come up with 3 things that you'll do to boost your blue mind before the end of our Kickstarter campaign. So that would be before the 10th of April. And we'll see if we can do a little bit of feedback on that. But we also want you to put those comments in the chat. So we're really trying to get you to actually think of something that you're going to do for yourself about that. So now I'm going to experience how to put people in breakout rooms for the first time. So I think we've got 23 people. So shall I go 4 breakout rooms, Mel?
Yeah.
Yep, does that sound about right? I'm going to go assign automatically, and I'm going to click create. What do I do now? Open all rooms, is that right?
Yeah, and then I think we get put and we have to accept to go into them, and then do you get to close them when you want us all back again?
Okay, there we go. Okay, so you've got to click accept to go in the room. It is quite simple.
That's it. Here we go.
Oh.
Penny, you might just want to put the questions in the chat box.
Okay. Good idea.
In a like a tub with cold water because I haven't got a bath, and breathing exercises, and yeah, it's been quite good. I recommend thoroughly Wim Hof Method to anybody.
I'm just popping in to say hello.
Hello, Penny. I was just saying what I have been doing recently.
I heard you saying about the Wim Hof method, and if you've been getting in a tub of cold water.
Absolutely, I have no problem with cold water, Penny. Well, within limits. I'm not a Superman.
So what about anyone else?
Well, I said I have been doing a lot of walking on the canal, because I'm quite close to the canal, and then you can like drive to the next section and then walk the next bit up, because even though it's not water, you can take a dip in, you still get those effects of you see the wildlife, you know, you go to a section where you've got the locks, so you hear the water rushing down as well, which is really nice.
Which bit of canal do you go to?
Well, I go from Levington down to Warwick, and then a little bit the other way as well, which I think takes you actually, but I haven't got that far yet.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good tip to go to the canal.
Yeah, it's quite quiet as well. You don't get as many dogs and stuff around there, and kids.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I've done a bit of walking, and it's a long river trail, so it's been quite nice. I have cheated, I must admit. I've caught the tram back once, but you know, just being at home, the beach is at the end of my road as well, and it's been great just getting out there, going for runs along the beach, and it doesn't matter whether the tide's in or out. It's always something magical just being by the sea, but I always come back a lot more tired from the sea fresh air than what I am here, because my area here is quite built up. So because I'm in Croydon, so it's a city, and it's a case of getting out of the area into the parks and through the woodlands, etc. And it's nice, but you just can't beat the sort of like feeling of being by the sea. And sooner or later I'll catch a train into London and then start running along the Thames, but I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah, no, that does sound nice. I mean, I guess I just try and take a detour on a run, right? So I run with my friend Claire from Warwick and from her house, and you kind of run through the Sherborne Valley out to Hampton Lucy, and you don't really, you get a bit of a view of the river, but like I always just make her take a little bit of a detour just to take a picture of the river, take a picture of the bridge, and and see it, and then carry on. And it's not, I mean, it's muddy and brown in it at this time of year, but just seeing it really helps. And I mean, Hampton Lucy is quite pretty, but I mean, it doesn't have to be pretty. I mean, the other day I did make an effort, again, just to change my running route a little bit, because I realised from working on this presentation that I was just doing the same routes in the same way every time. And actually, perhaps I could vary it or try a different route. And I mean, it was a little bit grim, because some parts of Coventry are a little bit grim if you're running through a housing estate. But actually, at the back of the housing estate in Woburley and through Tile Hill, there's a little brook, and you can follow the footpath along the brook for from my house, about 3 miles. I mean, it did get a little bit shopping trolley type stuff, but it's still better than just running around the city of Coventry. So very little, still better than, so just little things that have helped. Any other ideas?
Well, I was going to, because I moved into a new house last year, and I had this thing in my mind that I was going to do Project Hot Tub and get a hot tub. But then I saw a tiny little advert in the paper that said, "We'll build you a pond." And I was like, oh my God, I can have a pond. So I'm working on Project Pond and saving funds, because I could just get a pond in my back garden, and then I could get all sorts of little creatures there and stuff. And I'm thinking, could I get them deep enough so I could like just sit in it? So,
well, have you seen the thing about natural swimming ponds? Has anyone come across those?
Yeah.
I saw someone had put one in their garden. I mean, I guess perhaps it was a bit bigger than a pond, but
yeah.
I like the idea. I think one day in Swim and Tonic, we're going to crowdsource having a natural swimming pond. I think Warwick University somewhere would be a good place to have it.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. I wonder how much money we'd need for that. What do you think?
I don't know. Wouldn't it be better something like more like a leader rather than a pond?
Oh, but a lido, you've got to build the building and dig a hole and the concrete, whereas a natural pond is the natural environment. So it's weeds, and it's like what they have at the Hampstead Heath ponds. Yeah, a bit like.
Yeah, Hampstead Heath is good. Yeah. But it's kind of natural, isn't it? Hampstead?
Yeah, but there are companies now that will help you create that natural swimming pond. People put them in their back gardens. Not in Coventry.
I think Hampstead Heath is like a natural spring or something, or brook or something. I'm not sure
possibly.
How it works. But it's not a bad idea, actually. In Warwick Uni, they do have some kind of a brook or river near there. So, yeah. Whether they'll be interested, it's another matter.
Okay. I'm just going to pop into the other breakout room. So you just chat amongst yourselves. I'm just going to see if I can pop into the other rooms and see if they are ready to move on. If I can figure that out.
Okay.
I'll have to look that up. Thank you.
Hi, Penny.
Are we about ready to feedback?
What were we meant to do?
Well, just having a chat, meeting each other, but talking about what you could do to promote the blue mind in your own lives. But I mean, no pressure, just an opportunity to meet each other.
We've all just been chatting and meeting each other.
Okay, cool.
Which has been lovely.
Great. I'm going to figure out how these breakout rooms work. So I think I'm going to press.
We'll be gone in.
Yeah. Taking you all back. So you're all back in the main room. I wonder what happens does everyone else come? Oh, all breakout rooms will close, so they're all coming back to join us in a minute. To keep talking amongst yourselves. clicking buttons. I'm going to get to where I want to be. How do I know when everyone is back? That is my question.
Back. Yeah, I think we're all back.
I think we're all back.
Are we all back now? Okay, great. I can close that. Okay. So, did anyone have any feedback or amazing ideas of suggestions to boost their blue mind? I don't know, just put a hand up and I'll call someone's name out. Okay, go on, Scott.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for this. This is amazing, guys. Really enjoying it and stuff. Penny and Emma have been on one of our Blue Tonic things, so it's lovely to come and see something like this going on. But we didn't get around to talking about it in the room. It was so lovely chatting to people about like where they're from and what they're doing that we didn't get to it. But I don't want to plug my stuff too much, but we have got on the Blue Tonic website, we are going to be putting some local Midlands type walks, and we're hopefully going to have a bit of a template where people can put their own walks in around water, with some suggested activity you could do and sit and look at a blue space, some mindfulness, maybe do a drawing and things like that. So that was one thing, but yeah, I could maybe pop that in the chat or something.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Yeah, please do. Fantastic. Yeah. So, anyone else have anything they'd like to share? You need to kind of wave your hand like that a little bit because people.
Mel put her hand up.
Mel?
Did you pick
Oh, yeah, only just going to share something that we did in our team meeting the other day.
So what we decided to do, so you know, okay, we're going to go back to the line again. Suddenly shuffling around with the book.
Go on, Mel.
Yeah, we arrived at our team meeting a couple of weeks ago to a webcam view of St Ives Bay, which was really nice and kind of set a really lovely tone for the rest of the meeting. So I guess like things like that, you know, you can easily get a fix by, you know, checking out different webcams of coastal locations.
That's a lovely tip, yeah.
It's a good idea, yeah.
So in our group, Pav, you talked a little bit about breathing, and do you take cold water dips? Do you have cold water showers or cold water baths?
I do every day. I do have a cold shower and some breathing exercises. That doesn't take long. It's about 15 minutes max. The whole thing, the breathing and the showers and getting dry. So the cold showers come from Wim Hof, that I discovered about him during the lockdown, the first lockdown, and it fascinated me. And I did I have been doing swimming as the swimming pools closed during lockdown. I did few times in, we had a glorious summer, as you all know. I did few swims in the old bathing place, and I really loved it. And then as the summer progressed to autumn, I carried on in Stony Cove, and I carried on loving it. And then it kind of evolved from there. I decided to carry on and forgot about my wetsuit and just got a pair of gloves and like a boots, like socks, because otherwise my swim will be really limited time-wise. And I have to say that cold water exposure, swimming or dipping, is actually extremely beneficial for our mental health and also for our physical health as well. So look it up. It's really, really amazing stuff.
Thank you. So, I mean, if you look on social media at swimming groups and things, you'll find pictures of people in tubs in their back garden. I mean, it's not the same as swimming, but they're still getting, you know, a fix of water. Other things that you know, I talked about in one of the groups, but things in my life is that when I'm on a run, two things I've done recently are I've just had a run from Warwick through the countryside, and I took a detour specifically to go to the river in Hampton Lucy to have a quick look at it and take a picture and have a little moment and a little chat and then carry on with my run. And, you know, this is in the middle of my great big long run with intervals and repetitions and heart rate targets and pace targets and all sorts of suffering and disgusting gels to eat and all sorts of terrible stuff. But I took a moment to see the river and have a picture of it, right? And, you know, Claire and I had some follow-up about the river and the picture afterwards. So we're just prolonging and extending our blue mind and our attachment and connection to the water. And then just talking about the happiness activities and the type of activities that make you happy. So like, I like to be outdoors. I like to have a fix of my physical activity. But what I realized is that I do the same run most of the time. I do it in the same direction. You know, I pretty much go to the Memorial Park. I might change the loops and the laps and the direction a little bit, but that's pretty much what I do. And I just thought, well, what actually could I do differently to get that novelty and newness into it? And also, what could I do to get the blue mind? What could I do to get my connection to water? And I don't know how many of you know Coventry, but I live in a place called Chapel Fields, which is very built up, about a mile from the city centre. And you know what I did? I went in the other direction and I ran through the Wobiley estate behind me and then all through Tile Hill and I can't think what the other names are, Eastern Green along there. And there's this little brook that runs through the back of the housing estate. And it was filled with shopping trolleys and things, but actually just the fact that it was new and just the fact that I was next to the river, and there's not even a river, it's a stream, it's a brook. Just because I was near it made a whole lot of difference to that activity and the feelings of well-being that I got from it. And you know, the other really interesting thing about that run was that because I went somewhere different, I saw all sorts of different people. And you know, everyone in that neighbourhood said good morning to me as I ran past them. Whereas when I was running in other places, you know, people, I wasn't getting that connection. So just doing something different, thinking about where you go and how you interact with it can make a really big difference to your feelings of well-being and the benefits that you get from water. Okay, I'm still just looking at my presentation to see where we are. Okay, so just encouraging you all to try and think about any activities you're going to do in the next 30 days during our Kickstarter campaign for Dips and Chips. What couple of things could you do to boost your blue mind and stick it in the chat? And I think Mel still got her hand up. Was there something else you wanted to contribute, Mel?
Oh no, that was from before, but I've just put the name of an app into the chat. It's called Moonly, and there's a really nice section of audio sounds that are the sea, streams, river, underwater, all of that sort of thing. And the app's free, so that's really nice. It's in the healing section.
I like that. Good tip. I'm going to add that to the email that we send out afterwards. So that's just a little run through some of the concepts that we think are really significant from the Blue Mind. And I encourage you all to kind of have a little read of the book and maybe watch some of the videos. I'm going to send a link to this video and I'll send a link to the videos that we watched. I'll send those in the emails afterwards. So there's just a little summary of all the things that we thought that were significant. But you know, the really interesting thing for me while preparing this workshop and this slideshow was just thinking about our book and why Emma's drawings are so special and why we get so much fun from the swimming and the drawings. And if you think about all of the things that we've talked about, the experiencing the outdoors, the pictures of nature, the pictures of water, the pictures of happy people, you know, and they're just the pictures. We've done those activities as well. And the photos and the pictures are kind of extending our happy feelings, extending our memories, extending the fun. and sharing it with others. So sometimes people think you're a bit I don't know, twee, or I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, when you always take a picture of a swim. People think that's a little bit odd, but I actually think it's a really important part of our swimming, and it isn't about showing off. It's about extending your connection and remembering the fun that you had on that swim. So I'm going to stop waffling on for a moment. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask about the Blue Mind, about Dips and Chips, about swimming, about art, about anything? You can put your hand up again, either like that or with your function, with the hand function on Zoom.
Can you put us all on the same screen now, Penny, so we can all see each other?
You can do that, can't you? I can see you all.
No, it's about sharing. Yeah, you can. If you do the view
stop share.
Okay, stop the share. Yeah, I can do that.
I see only the person speaking.
Okay.
Yep.
How's that?
That's nice. I like to see everyone.
I still can't see everybody. Oh.
Yeah. Alan, can you see everyone now?
Yes, I can.
Great.
I can't see me, but that's probably a very good thing.
We can see you.
No, so lovely to see you all. Anyone have any questions?
I haven't got a question as such, but I'd like to thank you two for putting this on, you three for putting this on. A lot of thought's gone into it, and I do appreciate it.
You're very welcome. We've been really pleased to have you.
And it's
I
been
agree.
nice.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
thank you.
Penny and I have spent nearly a year now putting this book together, and we absolutely genuinely thought that these things we were going to do would be to help with the Kickstarter, and you know, we'd have to really work really hard and push it, and we have worked really hard to it, and we didn't ever believe we'd hit that minimum target so early. So it's so nice to just do this without the pressure of thinking, is it going to help, is it going to make a difference, but just to connect with people is just so lovely, and to see everyone's faces is, you know, and it's all these people that share what we love and believe in as well, isn't it? You know, and just to see you all, and that it's people from so far away as well, and all, you know, I don't really know what I'm trying to say, just that, you know, thanks for being supportive of us, and, you know, we've got some hands up.
Okay, so let's go. Lucy.
So I have a question then. When the time comes, how do we get hold of a copy of the book?
So if you you can pre-order the book through Kickstarter. So we ran out of the ones we initially put on there, and then we worked out we could release more. So you can actually just pre-order it through the Kickstarter campaign, and then that means when it all ends in April, you get charged. Then we can then send the book to print, but we just the only things we have left to do are a couple more swims, and then do all the proofing, editing and graphic design. So then hopefully come July/August you will have your book with you.
Yay.
Cool.
That's brilliant.
Thank you. Pav?
Yeah, I have a question. Have you thought, or maybe is it hard to approach a publishing company rather than doing a Kickstarter?
We tried to do that first of all with a company called Unbound, who it's a similar thing to crowdfunding, but you do it through the publishers, so you have all their support, and they didn't want to take our project on, so we were like, we'll just do it ourselves. I think I mean, you know, it's quite hard to sort of get into publishers, really. You know, we'd be spending quite a long time doing it, and we kind of just wanted to do it. So we were really excited.
But we don't need a publisher. We're going to be self-published. We've raised the money to print the books. It's going to be on Amazon. You're going to be able to, people will be able to order it just like any other book.
Oh, on Amazon.
It will eventually be on Amazon. Yeah.
For now, I think through the Kickstarter, and then Kenilworth Books as well for local kind of sales, and then we'll look at what other avenues we can sell it through, and then let everyone know what they are.
Okay. I was just thinking that if they find out that you manage to get so much interest in such a short period of time, they may get interested.
Yeah,
in,
people might be interested in
for our next one,
or send further afield to investigate and illustrate more.
Yeah, also thinking about the big boom now of wild swimming in the UK. It won't be just an interest from the Midlands, but you know, you can make it like this is a first step of a project, and you can go further afield.
I think we've definitely been talking about what volume 2 would be. Absolutely. And you know, it's not just the Midlands that we've covered with Dips and Chips. We've got Derbyshire, Gloucestershire, Leicestershire, the Cotswolds, Northamptonshire, Wye Valley. You know, we're an hour and a half away, and there's a lot of places you can get to in those times from Coventry. So there is quite a big area covered, which is good.
Yeah. Okay.
So Lucy's just asking about my wild swim camps, but before I answer that, I should just tell you what we've got still coming up for Dips and Chips. So next Monday, there is actually another online workshop like this, but on a completely it's still about swimming. So we're going to be talking next week about the secrets of efficient swimming. So it's going to be much more technical and much more about how swimming works rather than, you know, wild swimming like this. And I'm going to be presenting that with one of my other co-presenting. So we've had Mel as an amazing guest today, but next week we've got an amazing guest, Susan Cheshire, who's a full-time swim coach who I often work with. So she's going to be presenting with me next week. The week after, that would be Monday the 29th, we have a swimming movie night. So we've chosen a couple of short clips of swimming. They're just like YouTube videos, like 5-6 minutes long, and just more of an opportunity to watch it together, have a chat, network, social, have some fun, you know, meet other swimmers. And we've also got a live drawing again, haven't we, Emma, at some point? I've lost you on my screen. Yeah, we've got another live drawing with Emma, which goes out via Facebook, where Emma's going to be drawing, and, you know, people can watch and chip in and ask questions. And I'm struggling to remember the date for that.
No, I can't remember it either. It's a Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, it's all on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
And in terms of wild swim camps, I do have some wild swim camps scheduled for throughout the summer. So later on in the summer, so sort of June time. And I think there's one in September as well. And so you can find that on my business page, which is youcancoaching.co.uk. And hoping that Mel or Emma or both will be helping on those wild swim camps.
We will. It's you can coaching. Penny, you froze just as you said what your business page was.
So I'll just put it in the chat. So it's youcancoaching.co.uk.
Brilliant, thank you.
Any other questions?
So if you're following us on Facebook on Dips and Chips as well, there's the if you click the shop now, there's the link to the Kickstarter. I know loads of you have supported us, and we're just so grateful for it. Penny and I are really rubbish at going, please help out. We're trying really hard to do it, so it's kind of really out of our comfort zone to do that. And you know, the books are available. We've got some really beautiful postcards and swimming hats, and all of the artwork that's in the book is also up for grabs. So it's original artwork that you can pledge as well. Is that the right word? Yeah. But so, I'm still getting round to putting that all on a blog, so you can actually physically see it rather than just go, here's some money for something I don't even know what it's going to look like. But I'm going to put all those pictures up so people can choose what they want.
So I'm going to say thank you very much to everyone for coming and supporting the project. I've got to say a thank you, because we've got some Dips and Chips ambassadors who are here with us today and have helping in the background. So we've had Leona, we've had Lizzie, we've had Michelle, and Jess is still there. I think I've mentioned all of our ambassadors today. And I've got to say a really big thank you to Mel for giving up her time, helping to prepare the workshop, being here, and just being a fabulous swimmer person who's inspired us to write the book. And thanks to Emma for doing all of the drawings and making me work so hard.
Well, it's you that sort of made me do it as well, Penny, to be honest. Like, we really motivate each other, I think, don't we? You know, I'm like, oh, it'd be nice to draw lots of pictures for a book. And you're like, come on then, get on with it.
And what I'm going to say is, so I'll send out an email after this workshop. Hopefully some of you, I'll see you again at next week's workshop. But what I'm going to say is we'd really like to see your pictures and your swimming adventures, and we'd really like to know what you do over the next few weeks to boost your blue mind. So you can send messages to me, or even better, you can add them to our Facebook page and Instagram.
Yeah.
So I think it's time I'm going to go for my dinner. So thank you very much, everybody. See you all.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye.